welcome back to another non-meta Warframe video. This is episode 4, and we'll be looking at Vauban. So let's start off with some pros and cons. Some pros, he looks very professional again, so just like Frost. Um, he has Bastille that has an armor strip, which then turns into Vortex to pull everything in, so all of that works very nicely together. The 4 is recastable. You can get extra CC of the map. You can really modify that however you want to. Small damage buff. It's not very much, but there is a small grenade damage buff that you can use. His 1 can spread damage to nearby enemies. Then his 4 does also give 1,000 armor once you have enough enemies caught or inside of his Bastille. Some cons. Still kind of squishy despite that 1,000 armor and using the Arcane Guardian. Mostly squishy though because his 4 is not really providing that much of a CC to the Xmas like Frost would, but the cold procs, and you still have nullifiers, especially in Mott and other places where you have those that don't really get caught up in the Bastille. Very, very effective though with the Xmas enemies or Grenier can do very well in those places where they don't have the nullifiers. Another con, this is the first frame that I will show where I actually had 3 deaths in 30 minutes. But despite that, he is still a good frame. I chalked those deaths up more to my own stupidity rather than the build just being absolute garbage. So with that, here we go. All right, so let's start off with the build again with the Archon shards here. Blue, we have 150 armor. Just to try to help him out, stay a little bit more survivability, ability strength with 2 of them. So 2 red ability strengths, we'll have 1 red ability duration, just for a nice little bit of extra there. And then a little bit extra casting speed for his 4 as well as his 1, as those will be the main ones that we're using that actually need to cast. As you can tell, I do switch in Gloom there. For the actual mods, enemy radar, you can switch that out with corrosive projection. I'm not sure why I was running it, but corrosive projection, energy siphon, either one of those work. But enemy radar is also fun just because. But energy siphon probably a good one. He is fairly energy heavy, but corrosive projection as well to help strip the armor possibly off a bit faster would probably be nice as well. Then you have prime sure-footed. Very important so you don't get knocked over a lot. It helps with your survivability. Stretch, because you want his Bastille to cover some space. You can't just have it be as small as it usually would be. Tesla Bank is actually really nice. It allows your first to deal damage to an area if you kill the enemy that it is attached to. So it'll take all the damage that you've done to the enemy to kill it, and it spreads it out to your other enemies. Adaptation, just trying to help with the survivability just a little bit there. Vitality for the health. You won't have very many shields, honestly, most of the time. So I'm not really shield getting with this one. You could if you swapped off Streamline, but I don't. Prime Flow for the energy, that's very needed. Prime Continuity for the duration. Obviously, you're going to need that. Intensify for the ability strength that actually help with your Gloom as well as your Bastille to help the armor strip. You could also go Archon Intensify, especially with Gloom. That could give you just a little bit more of a Warframe energy boost. And then you get Streamline. Like I said, you can switch that if you want to for Archon Intensify, or Secrets rather, for the Augur Secrets. And then you can get that as well. Or you can take off the first abilities augment. Either one of those would work. So, I mean, that's another option that you could go with. You get some more strength out of it. And you don't lose that much damage with the first ability. It's just kind of fun. So that could work. Then that could just some shield getting with it as well. That could actually make this build just a bit better than what I show in the video. I do run Energize because you need the energy. I run Guardian. You could switch to Molt Augmented. That's would probably be the other one I would go with, just because you would eventually get a faster armor strip that could actually be more beneficial. But that is generally what I'm running for the build. All right, now back to some more gameplay footage. So as you can tell, the Bastilles will be very beneficial. And with Gloom up, really, as long as you're shooting enemies, you shouldn't be taking that much damage. You can take quite a bit. It is important to know, though, with the Bastille armor up at the top, you'll actually see that there is a duration on it whenever you are outside of the Bastille. If you're inside of the Bastille, it is always constant. So that would be something that if you are really looking at survivability, that might be important to you to keep an eye on your armor stacks with it. But it is pretty easy to keep up if you just kind of run around and cast your 4 a lot. But as you can see, with like Gloom using guns, for the most part, you should be able to keep it up. And then I die here. Um, this one's actually because my wife wanted me to do something, so I was not playing a whole lot there. But you still saw his health go from 600 down to 0 in pretty much one shot. He has no damage reduction abilities. You're pretty much solely reliant on your armor, which can be a problem. As we've seen in some other frames, there's a lot of different gimmicks you can do to try to make it work, but it can definitely be a problem that you gotta try to figure out. That's why I ended up going with Gloom here and not with another healing ability, but really any of those different healing abilities would be beneficial, as he does not have any abilities that would actually heal. So I guess those would be some more cons. But yeah, outside of the Eximus and the nullifiers, your 4 will essentially CC the entire map, and you can usually put out quite a bit of them before you really run out of energy if you're running around killing everything, popping a pad here or there. Is this build the best? No. Could you make it better? Absolutely. You can make almost anything better in the game if you really pushed it. Would this be a viable build if you wanted to just hop into a mission and go have some fun? Absolutely. More people should play Vauban. He is actually very fun, and he is actually very useful to your team if you have people that are playing and not just sitting in one spot. Though, I mean, he's pretty good at camping too, but he can be very beneficial depending on what game mode you're going with. Interceptions are great. Survivals like this one are fine. Defenses are fine with him. For defense, I'd probably go Vortex instead of the Bastille, but you have different game modes that you can use him in. That's not just he's specific to interceptions. He's specific to spies, something like that. Like you have with some of the other ones, like Ivara. Yes, you can use her different places. I know people have different builds for her, but essentially, he's not that pigeonholed into one specific game mode.